Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Charles in Charge Cowboy Sports Report. It is May 2nd, Tuesday evening, 8:50 p.m. Central Time, my time. I was attempting to do a live show, but I think I'm still a little bit too new in my channel to do a live show consistently and have a big turnout. So I decided to scrap that and just stick to what's working right now. Live shows will be coming up soon. If you're watching and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, still young and growing, I'm at 278. My first goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by week 1 this season. That means I need only, 722 more? That is very feasible. All you gotta do is press that red subscribe button. It is free. And if you have not yet, I guarantee you it is a investment on your part, because once I reach that 1,000, I can start putting back into this channel, get a microphone, get some studio equipment, get a a desktop and an iPad for it, so I can have some graphics along to go with everything else. I can give you what I got up here, which is a lot, plus, film and graphics and everything else, that everybody else has. It'll give the channel more pizzazz and more entertainment. You'll be entertained, I guarantee you that. And when I reach that point, my channel will grow exponentially after that. I will never catch Law Nation or Chad Sports by Tom Downey. I will catch Mark Holmes within the next 5 years. I guarantee you that. Because that old guy is Bogard, just unappreciative, oh, we don't give shout outs. This and that. If you try to promote your channel on his live stream, he shoots it down and acts like it's a threat. Like, really? You go on Law Nation show and he helps you promote your channel. You call in and if he knows that you're a content creator, at the end of your phone call, he'll say, tell everybody where they can find your content and follow you. He's out there trying to help other brothers get out and get the name out there, which I respect. He was the reason why I started my own channel in the first place. Been watching this team since Super Bowl 28 against Buffalo in the Georgia Dome. Ever since the 94 season on, every snap of every play of every game, basically, I've watched since then. I'm 36. Started when I was 6. Played the sport all through my youth in high school. Went to 4 different high schools in 2 years. So I wasn't able to really stay on the team and make a name for myself. So the dream of playing in the NFL did not happen. But that's all right. My backup dream was to be an analyst for the NFL. Didn't go to college, didn't get a journalist scholarship, so that didn't happen. But next best thing is a show like this, make it grow, get it big. And that's almost better than being on the 4 3-letter networks. Because a lot of them guys are starting to do YouTube shows now. Because that's where it's at. Now, this show is post-draft. I want to hit on a couple of key areas. The draft overall was good. I gave it a B+. Like I said, if on the second round we would have taken Osiris Torrance opposed to Luke Schoonmaker, I'd have given it an A++. Like, better than anybody else in the draft. Now, in the past, we've doubted, the picks that we've made, and we've been proven wrong. So this Luke Schoonmaker, who's been a late bloomer, turns out to be a killer tight end this year on the blocking end of it and receiving end of it. Then I will eat my words, and I will be happy to do so. And the draft will turn into an A++. Because I remember last season, after the draft, Mel Kiper and company, everybody's giving it a D. And that draft really did turn out to be an A+, because we got a hell of a lineman that was at left guard all season, all preseason, and then got kicked back to left tackle a week before game 1. and didn't miss a beat. Our second-round pick, Sam Williams, played very well as a rotational defensive end piece. Got him some sacks. Our third-round pick was the only disappointment, Jalen Tolbert. Fourth round, Jake Ferguson, wowed people, hurdled a guy, had a nose for the end zone. Round 5, Damone Clark. Wasn't sure if he was going to play, but he was back mid-season. Played and played well, coming off injury. Deron Bland became our starting slot corner. Better than Jordan Lewis was playing. And if we did not put the Vanilla Gorilla on the practice squad and would have kept him, he really could have been the one tech that we have been looking for. But Washington snatched him up. Man, that drives me nuts. He was a hit. We had 3 fifth-round hits last year. And then our 6th and 7th round, we had Devin Harper, I think, a linebacker, and I can't remember our 7th round pick. But the majority of our draft picks all played well. Some of them started, some of them played in rotational pieces, but all contributed at a high level. This season, I believe, will be the same thing. Mozzie Smith at one tech teamed up with Hankins. I think he'll be that one tech we've been looking for. He's got the strength in the body to do so. Our training staff can get him to grow into his man body. Dan Quinn can get the most out of him. And because this year, we're just looking at this year. This year is all the way. We got the roster to do it. Mozzie Smith can be impact one tech defensive player this year, teaming up with Hankins. Shoemaker, if he can play great tight end ball, that'd be awesome. I know he's no Darnell Washington or whatnot, but he'll be able to play week 1. I don't think Washington will. Washington has some injury issues. That's why he slid to the end of the 3rd round, even though he's 6'7", 11-inch hands, freak athlete. I'd have rather have really picked him than Shoemaker if we were going to go tight end. Even if he didn't play the first half of the season, our tight ends are more than capable of holding it down until he's ready to come and play. And Darnell Washington, like I said, could have been a tight end that changed the complexity of this offense for the next 10 years. But that's ancient history. In the 3rd round, Demarion Overshawn. Been watching tape of that kid at Texas. He played safety in 21. They moved him to linebacker last year, and man, can he fly. And also, can he blitz? I mean, the tape I saw whenever he was called a blitz, he was very good at it. Got through the gaps he was supposed to get to and got to the quarterback. Sideline type guy. A guy that, like Mark Holmes said, could spy Jalen Hurts when we played him twice this season. But not only him, if you want a spy on Jalen Hurts, you would think Micah Parsons would be the guy to do that, being that he is faster than Jalen Hurts. Overshawn has very good coverage skills, as so does Damone Clark and Leighton Vander Esch. So if we're going to have a spy on Jalen Hurts, why not it be Micah Parsons? I know their line is good. They have not replaced the right guard. They lost Isaac Samalu. How do you say his name? But their O-line is still stout. Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson are 1 year older, but still good proven veterans. But on 3rd and 10, whenever Hurts is known to just run and scramble for the 10 or 15 yards that they need for the first down, which he did all year, I believe we can get home. Russian Tank, Mozzie, Sam Williams going in year 2, Dante Fowler, and have Micah just spy Jalen. And with our corners, with Stephon Gilmore at corner number 2 now, we can play man coverage with a lot more confidence than we could last year. We had no cornerback 2, so therefore we could not do that. So if anybody's going to spy Jalen in our 2 games against Philly, I would think it'd be Micah, the fastest linebacker on the field, the fastest defensive player we have on the field. Because if Jalen takes off running and Micah beams in on him, he's not going anywhere. I mean, he runs a 4.340 for crying out loud. He outruns most receivers. And a lot of people saying that Philly got better this year. How? I give it to it. They did a good job replenishing what they lost, but they did not in any way get better than they were last year. They are not fielding a better team than they fielded last year. Let me finish this coffee. Answer me this. Coffee followed by soda. Ain't nothing better than it. Oh. So with the first pick, they traded 1 to get to pick 9. They picked Jalen Carter, right? A lot of people had him as the best player overall in the draft. Be it that some scouts had Jalen Carter as pegged the best player in the draft. Defensive tackle, he is. In his rookie season, he is not going to be better than Javon Hargrave, who the last 3 seasons has killed it. Last year really killed it. Had, 11, 12 sacks from the defensive tackle position, and on top of that was a run stuffer. They lose him to San Fran. They replace him with Jalen Carter. A terrific replacement piece. Terrific. And great for the future also, because Jalen Carter, if he is what we think he is, will progress and progress into, the next Hargrave or, whoever you want to compare him to. But this year as a rookie, he will not be as good as Hargrave is now as a veteran. They lost their top 2 safeties, their free safety, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and their strong safety, Marcus Epps. They got Justin Evans from Detroit and Terrell Edmonds from Pittsburgh. Terrell Edmonds, pretty good safety. Pretty good. Above average. He's good. But the combo of Justin Evans and Terrell Edmonds are not as good as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps was last year. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson last year was a ball hawk to the degree of what Trayvon Diggs was the year before. Chauncey Gardner was intercepting everything that was going his way. And Sean Payton, who is now the coach of Denver, could not believe that the Saints traded him for a 3rd-round pick because he is the one who drafted him. Now that Sean Payton is in Denver, he told his son, CJG, come on home, son. I'm the one who drafted you. I'm the one who knows how to use you. Come home. And he went to Denver. So they lost their starting 2 safeties. Replaced them, but replaced them with safeties that are good, but not as good as Johnson and Epps were. Now, at pick 30, they did get Nolan Smith, edge rusher. That's an extra edge rusher that they have to go along with Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. Linebacker. They lost TJ Edwards, who was the NFL's leading tackler last year. Ballin' linebacker. And Kazir White. They lost him 2 linebackers. Last year, they got Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round. Supposed to be the biggest steal of the draft. He would have been a 1st-round pick, but fell because of injury reasons. Same as Damone Clark, who fell to the 5th round for injury reasons. But last year, Nakobe Dean had plenty of chances to play. He was healthy at the same time Damone Clark was. There was question marks about them both playing at all last season, and they both, by midseason, were ready to play. And even in the games when Philly was up with a comfortable lead, they did not play Nakobe Dean because they verbatim did not trust him to go out there on the field. Why, I don't know. Especially with a comfortable lead, you would think that would be the time to let your rookie linebacker go out there and so some motes, you know, get some, regular season snaps under his belt, to get ready for the following season. So for linebacker on the defense, Nakobe Dean, they are assuming is going to replace TJ Edwards and that production that he had. We will see. Last year, Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, their top two draft picks, did little to nothing. They made little impact. They had to go get Ndamukong Suh and Linville Joseph to help out that interior whenever they had some injuries with defensive tackles. So, even though they got Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the first round, referring to what Mark Holmes said in his video yesterday, the day before, rookies is not their MO. It's really the free agents that they get is their MO. Now, trading for DeAndre Swift, genius move by Howie Roseman. Genius move, trading their second round pick to get DeAndre Swift. Now, he will be good in that running system. He will be good. He will be effective. But he is not as good as Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders last year had the best year of his career. Made the Pro Bowl, got a bag. I forgot where he went. But wherever he went, he got the bag. That a running back can get. Because, running backs don't get Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott contracts anymore. So DeAndre Swift is now their primary running back, along with Chris Carson and Boston Scott. Last year, it was Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. So running back is still good, but not as good as Miles Sanders was. Still need to replace the right guard. Offense, Jalen Hurts, if he keeps running as often as he does, he averages 11 rushing attempts a game, and that's called running plays for him, not including the plays that he scrambles with. So averaging 11 called rushing plays for Hurts alone, plus when he scrambles, there's a lot of running. And last year you saw it towards the end of the season, him getting more tender and getting more injury prone. That won't last that long. Him running like that. So with the players that they lost, they did a good job replenishing, but they're not fielding a better team than last year. Last year they fielded a super team, an all-star team. This year they are fielding a good team. You could almost say a good draft and develop team. Kind of like we had last year. Last year we were a strictly draft and develop team. We had no all-star signing at all. Dante Fowler was our biggest signing besides James Washington, who has zero impact. Now this year, we retained everybody that we had last year. Only person that we lost was Carlos Watkins on the defensive line. We retained everybody that we had last year. Leighton Vander Esch, Donovan Wilson, Dante Fowler, Jonathan Hankins. Everybody that we had last year, we kept, except for Connor McGovern. We let him walk. I believe, push come to shove, Chuma Adoka could replace him and play as well as he did, if not better. So we didn't lose any of our key players last year like Philly did. And we added studs. Brandon Cooks on the offensive side of the ball. Stephon Gilmore on the defensive side of the ball. I know Gilmore's no spring chicken anymore, but he's still got a good 1 or 2 premium years left in him. As does Brandon Cooks, who's been the number one everywhere he's went. He was the number one in New Orleans. He was the number one in New England, the number one in the Rams, and the number one with the Texans. And even with Davis Mills as a rookie, he still got over 1,000 yards. He didn't get over 1,000 last year because he didn't play the full season. But he's been the number one everywhere he's went. So he will be number 1B to CeeDee Lamb's number 1A. And Michael Gallup, for some reason, everybody's out on Michael Gallup like he's done. The man tore his ACL late in the 2021 season. Comes back early in the 2022 season, probably a little bit too early, and was not near, ready to play when he came back. But towards the end of the season, towards the last quarter of the regular season and in the playoffs, you started seeing him look more like himself, making good hand catches, running crisper routes, making plays. Now, instead of rehabbing this whole off season, he will have a regular OTA, minicamp, and training camp, and he will be back to 100% this year. It takes an average wide receiver that second year to get back right to what he once was. So expect Michael Gallup to be the MG13 that we all know. And if he is our receiver number 3, with Cooks at number 2 and Lamb as number 1, we have a hell of a trio. And I would not mind at all signing T.Y. Hilton back to a 1-year vet minimum deal to be our wide receiver number 4, while Jalen Tolbert is hopefully getting better in the wings. T.Y. Hilton is that veteran depth presence, that pays off. I mean, we don't win that Christmas Eve game without him. That 3rd and 30, whatever. Hell of a play. And earlier in that game, on the 3rd and long, he got a PI called on Darius Slay as he was being covered on a long route. So 2 plays, crucial plays he made in that Christmas Eve game for us to get that W. And in the playoffs, he did his job. On key 3rd downs, he made key 1st down catches. Now, I believe Mozzie Smith is going to be an instant impact, our 4th round pick. Fehoko Jr. out of San Jose State, defensive end, will be an instant impact rotational player. Eric Scott Jr. Like I said, first pick of the 6th round. Deron Bland was a late 5th round pick last year. This kid was picked maybe around 12 spots later than Deron Bland was picked. Don't be surprised if Eric Scott is in the grooming process to be cornerback number 2 after Gilmore's gone, because he's 6 foot, $197, exactly the size that we like in corners. And Dan Quinn just has this magic eye about him, this magic sprinkle does say he sprinkles over players and makes them into somebody. I mean, who was J. Ron Curse before he met Dan Quinn? He was just a JAG, just a guy. His first year with Dan Quinn, he becomes one of the top safeties in the league. And now in his 3rd year under Dan Quinn, he's really going to be probably a top 5 safety this year. With Micah Parsons going into his 3rd year, going to be a true lion, finally growing into his man body. I'm telling you, the Cowboys will field a better team this year than Philly. Micah Parsons is going to have a Defensive Player of the Year season like we probably haven't seen in years. I'm talking a season where he gets like 17 sacks, 15 TFLs, 60, 70 solo tackles, 5 forced fumbles, 5 picks, probably 2 touchdowns. I'm talking just all over the place. Since we got Mozzie Smith at 1 tech and Overshawn as linebacker, that gives Micah Parsons more room to play around. I mean, he is our chess piece he's our queen piece on the chessboard. And we're getting Mozzie Smith and Overshawn. That frees him up to do even more different things that Dan Quinn wants him to do. He can be anywhere at any given time. On first down, he doesn't have to be off-ball linebacker if he doesn't, if Dan Quinn don't want him to be, because we got Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, and Demarion Overshawn, who I think will be an impact rookie. His first year, I think he will be impact, along with Fehoko and Mozzie Smith. I know Will McClay is the ultimate scouter, and guy that makes the picks most influence. But when it comes to picks on the defense side of the ball, I believe Dan Quinn has about 50% of that influence, and Will McClay has the other 50%. That these defensive players are not picked without DQ's approval. I guarantee you that much. You could see it by last year. Last year, they all hit. If Harper wouldn't have gotten injured for the whole season before the season started, we don't know what he would have been like. But all the rookies hit on defense last year. It was uncanny. And we lose, I forget his name. I just know him by the Vanilla Gorilla. We lose him to Washington, and he wound up having a really good season as a rookie, interior defensive tackle for the Redskins. I call him the commander of the Washington Redskins. They always have been, always will be. So, for the UDFAs that we have brought in, I believe it's a total of 13 of them, the one that is getting a lot of hype that y'all all heard about, this fullback out of North Dakota State, Hunter Luepke, Luepke, Luepke. I'm going to say Hunter Luepke. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. He's got a guaranteed $200K at signing. That means they think a lot about you as an UDFA is to give you $200K at signing. And a lot of people compare him to the next Kyle Juszczyk. I can never pronounce that Niners fullback's name. Number 44 for San Fran. The best true fullback in the NFL. And there's a reason why the 49ers still have him, because if you have a good true fullback, when they're hard to find nowadays, they still have a purpose in this league. Like the Daryl Johnsons of old and Mike Allstotts. This kid ain't quite a Mike Allstott. There was only really one of him, but if he could be 75% of what Kyle Juszczyk, I'm just calling that. I think it's Kyle, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. This kid, Hunter Luepke, can be 75% of what that guy at San Fran is as a rookie. Hell, bring him onto the 53-man roster. Let him be a lead blocker. And if he's got some ball skills to carry the football, even better. Because I know Daryl Johnson wasn't scared to carry the football. Neither was Mike Allstott. Mike Allstott could open the lane for you, and he could also run over three guys. And the other one, offensive tackle Earl Bostic Jr. out of Kansas, he got $200K guaranteed. The only two UDFAs that got guaranteed money at signing. That means that we see something in him. Now, being that we did not pick a lineman high in the draft, hear a lot of people say that the Cowboys were pretty much gunning on finding one after the draft. Guys that weren't drafted. I don't see the logic in that. But maybe Will McClay had his eyes on some guys that he knew wouldn't get picked and said, let's try, these two guys. It's only two, Earl Bostic Jr. and offensive guard TJ Bass out of Oregon. If one of those two guys works out, great. Tight end Princeton, like the college, Princeton Fant, out of Tennessee. He is the cousin of tight end Noah Fant from Seattle. We bring in three receivers: Jalen Morano Cropper out of Fresno State, Jose Barbin out of Temple, John Stevens Jr. out of Louisiana. Looking at the three of them, I believe they're practice squad players at best. We bring in 2 defensive ends. Um, Isaiah, forgot to put his last name, out of Florida A&M, and Darrell Johnson out of Liberty. And then we bring in 1 off-ball linebacker, Tyrus Wheat out of Mississippi State. 3 corners, interesting, 3 corners. Maya Brooks out of Louisiana Tech. No, yeah. And D'Angelo Mandela out of BYU and Miles Brooks at Louisiana Tech. I think out of those 13, the fullback, it's almost like the fullback is guaranteed to make the team, the way they're talking. Because we want to get back to having a true fullback. And that'd be great. We've had good luck on UDFAs, in the past, as you know. I don't have to spell it out. But out of these 13 guys, we'll see. If that Earl Bostic or if that TJ Bass can be somebody, great. And I said this since the release date, that Ezekiel Elliott, his time as a Cowboy is not done. He will retire a Cowboy. He will play his entire career here. He is not the running back number 1 anymore. He wasn't last year. I mean, he was on the depth chart, but Tony Pollard was the more effective back. Ezekiel Elliott, especially in the first 13 games of that he played, was very effective. But when Terrence Steele went down with injury and Tyron Smith came back from injury and replaced him, the offensive line was not the same. Terrence Steele is a road grader. Him and Zach Martin on that right side move people. I don't care who it is. They move people. And if we can get Terrence Steele back at 100% at right tackle, that right side is going to be strong. And Zeke Elliott, following the conclusion of the NFL draft, Jerry Jones quotes for Elliott's situation that the ship has not sailed on re-signing the 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time rushing champion, Ezekiel Elliott. Now, he's made the second most money of any running back in NFL history. He is now a humble guy. He has a chip on his shoulder for the 31 teams that did not give him a phone call, not even bring him in for a cup of coffee. You don't think they gave him a chip on his shoulder? And now that he wants to come back and wear his college number from Ohio State, we have Tony Pollard, our speed back. We draft Deuce Vaughn, 5'5", $179. Our new Darren Sproles, Boston Scott, Dave Meggett type back. We need that big physical back. After June 1st, that 10 point whatever million dollars of Zeke's money becomes available. I would not be surprised if we bring him back on a 1-year vet minimum deal with incentives. He is humble enough to accept a number 2 running back role and be a mentor for the rookie Deuce Vaughn. And if he's asked to pass block, he'll pass block most of the time. If he's asked to go get those tough yards, he'll do that. If he's asked to go out in the fourth quarter and grind the game out, he'll do that. And being that we got Deuce Vaughn now, a 3-headed monster opposed to a 2-headed attack like we did last year, that gives Zeke less carries, and that gives him a better chance of being healthy all season. Because the first 15 weeks of the season, he played 13 games. He got hurt for 2 of them. In the first 13 games, he averaged 4.2 yards a carry, which is not bad, and had 9 or 10 touchdowns. That's the first 15 weeks of the season. And great in pass protection, still is. And he's that running back that'll get you 3 to 4 yards, 2 to 4 yards. Now, if the line is blocking, if the line is actually blocking, he'll get you 3 to 5 yards. Still. And if the line is blocking, Pollard will get you 10 to 15 yards. And Deuce Vaughn, we'll see, but he'll probably be able to get you 5 to 10 yards. Himself, small as he is, get lost in all those big bodies. But we bring back Elliott on a 1-year vet minimum deal with incentives. Him with a chip on his shoulder, wearing number 15 from Ohio State. I believe that he can have his best season that he's had since 2019. I really believe that. I believe we can have 2,000-yard rushers. Tony Pollard and him. And Deuce Vaughn will be the X factor. As a rookie. He'll be the guy that gets that screen pass, takes it 80 yards. Or, just that X factor scat back that we didn't have last year. And gets 5 to 10 carries a game. 5 to 10 carries that Zeke don't have to take. And that'll keep Zeke healthier and possibly healthy the entire season. Because if you have a healthy Zeke all year, especially going into January, that's big. And I think having Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn, and Elliott with a chip on his shoulder, when a man has a chip on his shoulder and has something to prove and is motivated, you're going to get the best out of him. And I believe that we can get a 29, not a 2018, because that was the last year he was a rushing champion. That was the last year of his best. But 2019, he was still pretty good. He ran for 1350. I believe we can get 2019 production out of Elliott this season just because he wants to prove all the other 31 teams wrong for not calling him. At least, to just check, bring him in, interview him, see what's up. He wants to make them teams pay for that because he knows what he is and what he can bring. And I know we have Chuma Aduga as an interior lineman. I know we have Matt Forniak as an interior lineman. He's more of a backup center. But we need to bring in one more veteran interior lineman. The best rated guy right now that's still out there is Dalton Reisner. Out of the top 100 free agents, he was ranked number 41 when free agency started. We're focused on this year. We're not worried about next year. Next year is next year. This year, we got the shot to go all the way. And the team, we were just a Tony Pollard injury away last season from getting to the championship game, going to Philly and giving them a run for their money, because it would have been a ball game, unlike it was against San Francisco when Purdy goes down early and Jim Johnson, who signed a week earlier, comes in and play ball and just fumbles the ball all over the place. Eagles had the easiest playoff schedule I've seen in years. If we make the phone call, bring in Dalton Reisner, sign him to a 1-year deal. Just a 1-year deal. He's a plug-and-play at left guard. He is better than the 2 Connors that we've had the last 4 or 5 years. Better than Connor Williams, better than Connor McGovern. Keep Tyler at left tackle so we don't stun his growth. I know he can kick in a left guard, and Ty Smith can play left tackle. And that sounds great. It does, because Tyler Smith is very strong, very athletic, and could probably play left guard super good. And if Ty Smith could stay healthy all year, and our line consists of Ty Smith at left tackle, Tyler at left guard, Biadash at center, Martin and Steele on the right side, that is a hell of a starting 5 right there. With Chuma Aduga as, the swing guard, and Matt Waletzko or Asim Richardson as the swing tackle. Pretty good offensive line right there. But an even better offensive line, I think, I think Tyler Smith going into year 2 is probably almost as good as Tyron Smith is at left tackle at his stage in his career now. I know Tyron Smith is only like 32 years old. He's not super old, but his body is. His body's beat up. Now, Tyler Smith going into his second year doesn't hold a candle to Tyron Smith, in 2014, 2016. But Tyler Smith going into his second year is not far away from Tyron Smith now. Which, being that we redid Ty Smith's contract, his base salary is very low. It's all incentive based. The best starting 5 we could put out there is sign a Dalton Reisner, plug him in at left guard, keep Tyler at left tackle, keep him growing. He's going to keep getting better. He'll be our left tackle for the next 12 years. He'll be a perennial Pro Bowl, probably a perennial All-Pro left tackle like Ty Smith was. I mean, the kid has got potential. He's that good. And, be it Ash, Martin, and Steele, and have Tyron Smith as the swing tackle, being that he's got injury issues. Perfect for swing tackle. So if one of our tackles goes down, he can fill in left or right for 4 or 5 games at a high level. And then when Steele or Smith comes back, then he can, go back and rest, and that is depth. That is major depth. Tyron Smith is the best swing tackle in the NFL. And Chuma Edoga is, no slump as a swing guard. And hopefully Farniak is a decent backup center. Tyler Beadash is getting better at center. He's going to his 4th year. Contract year for him. Contract year, players tend to play pretty well. So don't be surprised if you see Tyler Beadash play at a level that he hasn't played at yet this season. Because you ain't got to be huge to be a good center. Mark Stepnoski, I think, was 252 pounds. Small center, number 53, back in the 90s. But he was smart, and he used hand fighting, and tricks of the trade to be an excellent center. He's very athletic, very versatile, move quickly. We'll see what B-Dash does this year. Hopefully he plays as good as we think he can. If we bring Zeke and Dalton Reisner, this team has 0 weaknesses. Being that we got a tight end in round 2, our tight end room is set, our wide receiver room is set, offensive line will be set. We bring in a Dalton Reisner. And on top of that, like I've been saying, it's not just this year that this window is open for a Super Bowl run. It's open for the next 5 years. Because last year, the Cowboys were like the 3rd or 4th youngest team in the league. Now this year, we'll probably be like the 2nd youngest team in the league. With all the youth that we've brought in this draft. Every year we're bringing in talent in these draft classes. And the talent that we brought in this draft class makes this team younger. This team is very young. That not only do we have a chance to go all the way this year, but next year as well, and the year after that. But we focus on this year. Focus on this year. And 1-year deals are not bad. Get Dalton Reisner for a 1-year deal, and then next season, get a left guard in round 1 as your first round pick. So the offensive line will be officially rebuilt. And then in round 2, pick a corner, maybe. Unless Eric Scott Jr. just looks like the real deal this year, which you never know. So that's kind of it for this episode. Philly did a good job of replenishing, but they are not better than they were last year. I do not understand why people think they're fielding a better team than last year. They got good replacements for the guys they lost, but the replacements they got are not as good as the guys that they lost. But they're good replacements, but they're not as good. At least this year, they're not as good. Jalen Carter this year is not as good as Hargrave. Might be next year or the year after, but not this year. And Evans and Edmonds are just not as good as CJG. Edmonds probably is better than Marcus Epps by a little bit, but the duo is not better than their previous duo. They need to get a good right guard or a decent one. I believe they drafted him in the 3rd round. Steen, I believe is his last name. I said offensive tackle. Probably a guy that can flex the guard. But if that's the case, that's a rookie that's, starting on your O-line. Could be a weakness there. But who's Philly's linebackers? Nakobe Dean? Is that who they're going to bet all their chips on? Look at our team. Our D-line is stacked. And whenever Micah Parsons is on the LOS, our D-line is the best in the league. Our linebacking core is stacked. Our DBs, our corner room is stacked. Jordan Lewis for depth. Good veteran, not great, but good veteran. Come back from injury, there for depth. Eric Scott Jr., there for depth. Our safety room, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, J-Ron Kurtz, 3 top-notch safeties. Probably the best safety trio in the league. With Izzy Akwamu, who can play safety and corner, pretty good. That provides great depth. And then we also have that Marquise Bell, to provide safety depth. So defense, in every level, we got great starters and great depth. On offense, if we bring on that left guard, we have great starters and great depth. If we bring back Elliott, our running back room is set. Our receivers have great starters, great depth, especially if we re-sign T.Y. to a 1-year deal. Our tight ends have good starters and good depth. And Dak Prescott doesn't throw another 14 interception season, which I don't think he will. Now, I know not all the picks were his fault. A few of them were to Michael Gallup. If you remember, Gallup was a shell of himself last year. Wasn't really fighting for the ball. He'll be back this year. And those picks that were to Michael Gallup that could have been prevented if Gallup would have done what he's supposed to do won't happen this year. And Kellen Moore being in Charger land, the play callers, Brian Shoddy and Mike McCarthy, know this is a run-first team and that Dak is a A++ game manager. They will not have Dak throwing 40 times a game like Kellen Moore kept reverting to. When Prescott got hurt, Cooper Rush came in. Kellen Moore reverted back to the winning formula on offense. Throw 25 times a game and then run the hell out of the ball. Run for $150. And we go 4-1. And we're that close to coming back to beating Philly with Cooper Rush. Dak comes back, first couple of games, he sticks to that formula. 25 attempts, run the ball a lot. And then he reverts back to, trying to make Dak, a prolific passer, which he's not. This year, we're going to stick to the formula. Run the ball to set up the pass. And the good thing about this is against teams like Philly or San Fran that have a strong front is we can use the pass to set up the run. Especially against teams like I just mentioned. Dak put up a 40-burger on that Philly defense that had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps back there at safety with CeeDee Lamb and half of a Michael Gallup and a T.Y. Hilton. put up a 40 burger after you threw a pick six to start the game. So now with Brandon Cooks and a healthy Michael Gallup and San Fran that does not have a stellar secondary, we can, against defenses like that, we can use the pass instead of the run. So this team is set and ready to roll. If we just make those two moves that I mentioned, then I see no weaknesses on this team at all. And bring on the fullback, Hunter Lupiki. Bring him into training camp. See what he can do. That man can lead block really good. And also take the football and get 3-4 yards himself. Shoot, man. Let's give him number 48 and see what he can do. Keep God first and foremost. He comes before everything, even this. Seek him and his righteousness, and everything else in your life will fall into place. I am a living testimony of that. I promise you that is true. God is real. I feel I need to say that at the end of every one of my videos, probably in the middle and starting the beginning of them. Should start saying that. Please subscribe, like, and share, guys. Press that red subscribe button. I've got 51 minutes. I think this is my longest video yet. Please subscribe, like, and share. Hit that like button too. Like Mike Fisher says, you hit the like button a lot. It helps beat the algorithms. Basically, get your video pushed up and viewed more. Please press that subscribe button and that like button. And help me get to 1,000 subscribers by week 1 this year, guys. If y'all get me to 1,000 by week 1 this year, I promise you we will have an entertaining season. And I would bring y'all top content with not just my face, but you know, graphics and highlights and plays like you see on Law's show and whatnot. That's it for this episode, guys. Y'all have a great Wednesday tomorrow. I love each and every one of y'all. God bless y'all. Y'all be safe and sound out there. And Charles in Charge will catch y'all here in the next few days. Hopefully this week or by this weekend we hear some news that the Cowboys are bringing in an offensive lineman to have a cup of coffee or in talks with Elliott's agent for a 1-year incentive type deal, you know, vet minimum type thing. Hopefully we get some news like that, because we should not be finished. We should not be satisfied with what we have on the roster. We should not be satisfied yet, because there are still 2 holes to fill. That's power back and left guard, in my opinion. But who am I? I'm just a painter. All right, guys. That's it for this episode. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'll catch y'all guys on the flip side. I'm going to eat, watch a little TV, and crash out. Charles in Charge is out. I'll see y'all later.